Hello, my friends. It is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. Lots of 20s and things today. Don't have any 20s in my wallet, but hey, I'm a teacher. What would you expect? So here's the dealio. If you missed today or you wanted to roll back, there's going to be a lot of binging during this. I don't know why people have to bing all the time, but there's going to be binging because there's people taking tests and teachers bing when they get confused. So yeah, there's that. So anyway, I'm going to run you guys through what we did today and try and keep this, brief but effective as we should be. If you have any questions, please contact me and I'll go through what we did today. So here we go. All right. So first of all, we're going to get a little Tom Hanks playing David Pumpkin from binging. Tom Hanks playing David Pumpkin. I think it was David Pumpkin from Saturday Night Live a few years when we're binging. Oh my God, bing. Anyway, so this is kind of the setup slide for today and the reminders. Don't forget that your tic-tac-toe projects were due last Friday. And so if I don't have some of that stuff from you, I need to get it ASAP. Also, if you're in first and second hour, your grades are all posted for the tic-tac-toe projects that I've gotten so far. Fourth hour, I am working on yours today. So I should hopefully have those in by 3:45 today or whenever I get to leave from this awesome place and my really comfy classroom where I hang out all day long. Another reminder that you've only got about only seven days left in this quarter semester thingy. So you've only got 7 days to get in late work or do any resubmissions of things that you've improved upon for me to grade. So don't wait too long to get that stuff in because that would make me sad. Also, if you missed today, you may have missed the STAR math test third hour. Make sure that you get that done eventually. I'm sure they will contact you about making it up. So it says we're going to discuss 4 ideas today, but we're really only going to do 3 because I want to make sure that you have the time to do some work today. Remember, allot some work time so that you can get Seeking Empire done by Friday. So here's the deal. We did a little conversation about whether you'd rather be too hot or too cold, more binging, and overwhelmingly people said they'd rather be cold all the time than too hot. So, if you disagree with us. Anywho, here we go. All right, so the first thing we talked about today was tariffs, and we had a nice conversation about what these are. Actually, for one of the first times this year, I didn't do all the talking. Everybody seemed to be pretty on the same page about this. So a tariff is a tax on imported or exported goods, usually on imports or things that come into a country. And there's a couple of reasons why governments would decide to put a tax on imports coming in. One reason is to get some extra tax money that could be used to help improve roads or education or build up the military or whatever. The other reason is if you tax things that are coming in from foreign countries, it's going to make their prices probably higher than the things that are American made. So if you have to pay an extra tax on imports, it's going to make the American made things look better to us. Now, businesses are in favor of that because it's going to make people want to buy American. And also, as the tax goes up on Japanese or British or wherever made items, they can actually raise their price a little bit more so that they can make a little bit more money. Generally, people that have a lot of money don't mind tariffs because they either own the businesses that are benefiting from it or they have enough money to pay a little bit extra for items. Whereas people that are poor or maybe underprivileged are not going to like tariffs as much because it's going to force up the cost of what they have to pay for things. Now, the reason it says Republicans and Democrats on the slide is we're going to talk about the back in the day times. During the Gilded Age and the age of populism, Republicans generally tended to be the business owners or the people that had more money. And so they benefited from tariffs. And so they liked them being. And the Democrats generally tended to be the underprivileged and the immigrants. So they didn't like tariffs. This was kind of a major political issue and one that, if you remember what we talked about yesterday, the politicians would sometimes sit on the fence about. Bang. Okay, now, second slide talks about social gospel and society. Now, first, to understand social gospel, you have to understand an idea from last chapter called social Darwinism. Now, not every one of you guys did an assignment that used social Darwinism in it, so I'm going to go through what that is. Charles Darwin was a scientist that suggested that animals changed to fit into their surroundings and to better adapt. One of the big words in Darwinism is adapt and evolve. And so he suggested that only the strongest animals would survive. Now, some people took that and applied it to this idea called social bang. Social Darwinism, it's so distracting. I'm so confused. All right, social Darwinism. And basically, what that said was the rich and the powerful were just kind of better people and they were more set up to survive because for whatever reason, they were just better than everybody else. According to social Darwinism, the poor struggled because they weren't as good as everyone else. And so it was a popular theory from the people that were in charge because it made sense to them. Well, they're just better than everybody else. Well, obviously, Bing, the poor and people who struggled a little bit, they didn't like that theory because basically it just explained away why they struggled. Now, people that didn't like it came up with a new idea that they called social gospel. Social gospel basically comes out of gospel or churches. The idea being that, everybody has a right to do well. And so the idea of social gospel was basically that you're supposed to help out people that are less fortunate than you. And if you do that, it raises up the overall level of society. So I'll give you an example that compares social Darwinism to social gospel. If I ordered Jimmy John's for lunch today, I'd order a sub, an oatmeal raisin cookie, because they're delightful, and a bottle of water. Now, if they delivered it here, and when I got my bag, I actually had 2 sandwiches, 2 cookies, and 2 bottles of water, I would probably have more than I needed. Now, if I'm walking down the hallway and I see, Justin, Mr. Eggers, walking down the hallway going, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I didn't bring lunch and I don't have any money to buy lunch. In social Darwinism, I walk by him. I don't give him the extra stuff because, hey man, it sucks to suck. And basically Justin deserves that because I'm better than him and he's Justin. So whatever. And so it's okay for me to not give it to him. As a matter of fact, I can even throw the extra sandwich away because in social Darwinism, Justin doesn't deserve it. In social gospel, I go, hey, Justin, I've got this extra sandwich. I'm going to eat the cookies so he doesn't get my extra cook. But I give him the extra sandwich because by giving Justin that sandwich, I'm making society better and I'm helping out everyone involved. The last slide we did today is about this guy named Jacob Coxey. Now the slide, honestly, the lesson of this slide has nothing to do with Jacob Coxey. He was a dude that you will likely forget very quickly, and therefore I want you to pay more attention to the lesson that we can learn from him. Jacob Coxey was around during the Gilded Age and the age of populism. Oh my God, it's so annoying. It's making my video less cool. Jacob Coxey was around during this time period. In about 1893, there was a big depression, and a bunch of people became unemployed and lost their homes and struggled with money and could barely afford food and clothes and their kids and all those different things. Well, Jacob Coxey lost his job, and he lived in Ohio, and his wife was mad, and they almost lost their house, and Jacob Coxey developed an idea for how to get the country out of the depression. He suggested that the government could afford to pay people to do jobs that, while they needed to be done, maybe weren't as important. Things like building playgrounds or painting schools or raking leaves and sticks up for old people. Just kind of like almost like busy work jobs around towns. And that once the depression was over, the government could let those people go and they could go back to their regular jobs. The idea being that if people had money, they'd spend money and we'd get out of a depression. Bing. And so Coxey decided to walk from Ohio to Washington, D.C. to give Congress his ideas. And he did that. And he stopped along the way and told people his ideas, and some people followed him. And by the time he got to Washington, D.C., he had this big following of people. When he showed up at Congress to make his suggestions, he was actually arrested for trespassing and thrown in jail. And then he was put on a train and returned back to Ohio. Coxey eventually ended up getting a job and, was fine and died of natural causes and old age and all those things and was forgotten by history. But then in 1929, the Great Depression happened. And in 1932, Franklin Roosevelt was elected president. And Roosevelt came up with this idea to make the country better during the Depression, where the government hired people to do things like rake leaves and paint schools and build playgrounds and do things like that. And FDR never really gave any credit, Bing, to Jacob Coxey for the idea. And I guess the lesson that we can take away from this is there's a reason why we study history. Sometimes the solutions to our problems are hidden in history, and we just have to find them. But the other important lesson to take away here is, and this is going to sound a little weird, but man, sometimes we're just not appreciated when we're around. Nobody really gave Coxey any credit for his idea at the time. But when the Great Depression came around, Coxey's idea may very well have saved thousands of lives. And that is kind of where we ended today. So If you've got questions about anything we talked about, please let me know. Use some time to work on Seeking Empire because that's due on Friday, and ask questions if you need. I'm here. Hope to see you soon. Hope you're well. Bye bye.